Welcome to Global Matters with Solange Warner. Today, I am proud to introduce you to attorney Charles Kuck, an eminence in immigration law. Charles, welcome to our show.
Thanks for having me, Solange. It's great to be with you.
Absolutely. I would like to ask you about this immigration debate that is happening in Georgia today, which both sides have very important and value points. Please tell us, first of all, why is it so difficult to become a legal immigrant in Georgia or in the United States?
The problem we have is that our immigration laws simply aren't written for the society, the economic times that we live in today. In 1990, the last time Congress effectively modified our legal immigration system, we didn't even use email to communicate. Our system is so different today, our lives are so different today. As a result, the immigration needs of our country are so different today. And then in 1996, when Congress changed the undocumented immigration laws and made it against the law to do certain things and made the process much more difficult, has actually created more illegal immigration than it actually helped solve. For example, prior to 1996, if you came into the country illegally, you could still get a green card here if you married a citizen or you had an employer sponsor you. But starting in 1996, it said that if you came here illegally, you weren't allowed to get a green card here. You had to go back home, which is fine. I don't know anybody that has a problem with that because you broke the law to come. But the law also said that once you go back home, you can't come back for 10 years. You know anybody, if they came illegally, would go home and wait for 10 years?
No.
I don't know anybody.
Right.
Complicating that is our legal immigration system, which says it takes up to 10 years to bring a legal worker here, or 15 to 20 years to bring a family member here. The reality is we don't have a workable legal immigration system. That, coupled with these laws I described to you, have actually increased undocumented immigration to astronomical proportions. When that law passed, there were less than 2 million undocumented people in America. Today, there are more than 12 million. Clearly, the law has had an impact.
Right. If there is 12 million illegal immigrants, you will think that the natural course will be to create a reform on the immigration law. And I'm thinking specifically about trying to track down some of the illegal immigrants that they will be perhaps with criminal background. So why wouldn't we create a system that is set up to be able to track down these criminals and also to be able to find the workers that they are working legally and also to pay taxes? Wouldn't you think that will be the natural course of the situation now?
Part of the big lie is that the federal government has done nothing on immigration, when in fact they have. Last year, the Obama administration deported more criminal aliens and more people than have ever been deported before, more than 400,000 people. That's a lot of people. But in the context of 12 million people, it's a relatively small number. The government simply doesn't have the resources to track down every undocumented immigrant in America. As to people who are what we call criminal aliens, those that have criminal convictions in the United States, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, actually has a very good program operating in virtually every prison in America today to identify individuals who are foreign nationals serving prison time so they can be deported at the end of their sentence. My guess is that at least 99% of the people are in fact deported from the United States that can be deported. The problem that we have is that there are many petty criminals, people who I like to call DWH, driving while Hispanic. You see this here in Gwinnett County or in Cobb County. People are stopped because they didn't signal a left turn lane, or they had a light out, or they didn't have a seatbelt on, or any other excuses that people like me typically wouldn't get stopped for. Somebody of color is going to get stopped, and now they have a driving offense. Now, as a driving offense, you can just get a ticket, or the police have the discretion to bring you in. Well, in those counties like in Cobb or Gwinnett, they're brought in, they're run through the system, and then they're turned over to ICE if they're undocumented. And many times, their criminal issues are simply resolved. Okay, go away, pay a fine, have a nice day. But now they're in the immigration system. We actually have a system that works. Question, and the problem is, we don't have the resources to make it work for everybody within a 3-week period. If we truly were committed to deporting everybody, get out the checkbook, write a check for about $200 billion, hire an additional 40,000 ICE agents, and let's get to work. People realize the reality that's not going to happen.
Right.
More importantly, it's not in our economic interest to do this. We've invited these people here. Don't get upset. We did. How did we invite them here? There were jobs for them. We didn't have any interior enforcement. The Republican-controlled Congress of the Bush years and the Clinton years did not allocate money to interior enforcement of the United States, to go after bad employers. That's what I mean by interior enforcement. They just said, look at the border, we'll fix the border. Well, the border is not where the immigration problem is. The immigration problem is with the border, with the employers. And the Obama administration is very effectively going after employers today. So that's why you see life is much more difficult under the Obama administration than it ever was under the Bush administration. The Obama administration, I'm not here to defend them, but they are doing a much better job in the context of immigration enforcement than any previous president has ever done. But still, the immigration problem remains. And we have this issue of all these people here who have been contributing members to society, who do pay taxes, who do own homes, who do drive cars, even if they don't have a license. What happens when we remove them from the society? Well, I think you look at Arizona. The Arizona law has driven at least 100,000 people from that state. And you see empty storefronts, homes just covered in weeds and waste. You see a society in decay. Because when you chase the people away that are contributing, what you're doing is causing damage to your society as a whole.
Well, thank you so much, Charles. That's great information. And we will be right back with Charles Kuck.
Shades of blue. You said you loved me when you said goodbye. You said you'd never leave me. I guess you lied. Now I see it's true. There is a darker shade of blue. Darker shades of blue. Darker shade of blue. Shades of blue. You took your love clear across town. You turned my whole world upside down. Now I see it's true. There is a darker shade of blue. Darker shades of blue. Darker shade of blue. Don't trust your heart or your feelings, but you'll find yourself staring at the ceiling. Now I see it's true. There is a darker shade of blue. There is a darker shade of blue. Shades of blue, darker shade of blue, shades of blue, oh, darker shades of blue.
And now we're back with attorney Charles Kuck. Charles, I wanted to ask you about something that many people are trying to find out more details about. DREAM Act. Please tell us what the DREAM Act is and how this can really affect everyone in the United States, being that some of these people can really go and fight for the United States wards. Please tell us more details about this.
Well, the DREAM Act was first introduced 10 years ago by Senator Hatch from Utah. Since that time, it's had various iterations, and we're on the 4th or 5th version of the DREAM Act today. But the DREAM Act, as passed by the House and waiting to be passed by the Senate, is quite simple. any child who was brought to the United States before they were 16 years old, who is today currently under the age of 29, who graduated from high school, who goes to college for 2 years or joins the U.S. military for 2 years, is going to be given legal status ultimately in the United States. The way the process works is, if the Senate would pass this bill, that the individual would apply with immigration, show that they came within the certain age limits and are under the age of 29, and that they graduated from high school. They would then be given an opportunity over the next 10 years to fulfill where they would have legal temporary status, not permanent residence, just a temporary legal status. Would enable them to work and to live and to travel in the United States. Would enable them to go to college, and would enable them to join the military. If they did those things within those 10-year period, that would be eligible for permanent residence in the United States after the end of that 10 years. So they have to wait 10 years. Then they would become permanent residents if they fulfilled the requirements, wait 5 more years if they wanted to, and then apply for citizenship.
Right.
But what we do with these kids is by passing the DREAM Act, we bring hope to children. There is nothing worse than a teenager with no hope. Can you imagine if you were going to school and you knew you could not go to college, you could not join the military, you could do nothing with your future other than try to find work as a day laborer? What would that cause you to do as a teenager? Really, you would drop out. You would just say, forget about it. I'm not going to worry about it. Some folks will say, well, they'll just go back to their home country. I've got some bad news for you. This is their home country.
Right.
This is what they grew up in. This is the culture they're acclimated to. This is the language they speak. This is where they can be successful. We would literally be chasing away between 1 to 2 million children from our country by not passing the DREAM Act. We would be saying to these kids, forget about hope. Go back home. We don't want you here. The military sees the DREAM Act as a key part of the recruitment strategy over the next decade. The military, the guys that we trust with the protection of our country, says, give these kids permanent residence. Put them on the path to legality. The military's right. We need to listen to them.
Absolutely.
Economically, we're talking about the future leaders of our country. Future kids who can contribute as researchers, as scientists, as architects, as accountants, as lawyers, as professionals, as moms and as dads. We have never as a country, never held children responsible for the misdeeds of their parents. Now is not the time to start.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to add one more thing to this. The military aspect is, I think the beauty of the DREAM Act is that you have temporary residency for 6 years, correct? So after
it's actually 10 years now.
Oh, it is 10 years now.
To 10 years, yes.
So after those 10 years, if they are not fulfilled, let's say if they have any criminal behavior or they've been caught by the law, they will not be able to get the permanent residency, correct?
No, and in fact, they will be deported because they will have registered with the government, they will have given their fingerprints. And that's really the big thing about undocumented immigration. If we really are afraid of undocumented immigration, the issue should be about national security. It shouldn't be about illegal work or anything. And what better way to bring people into the light than by saying, okay, we're going to give you a benefit of some kind, temporary though it may be.
Right.
But you have to give us your prints, your DNA, your signature, whatever you need to have, so we know who you are.
Right, exactly. That's very important. And also, the commitment with the military is usually for 8 years. So most likely, these people will still be in the military if that's what they choose to do. So there is a chance that they will become residents within this time, and they will have to participate actively, like going to war and having to expose their lives, just like any American young person will do.
I have a countless number of young women and young men that have come into my office in the last couple of years that would give anything to join the U.S. military, anything to serve the country they love. And they're told, no, you can't join, because it's actually against the law for people who are undocumented to join the military today. This act makes that possible and lets them contribute, lets them protect the country that has given refuge to them and their family.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the Georgia law, because I think it's all related. How do you view the Georgia law going the Arizona way? I know that this is a federal law, immigration is a federal law, so that will be difficult, but how do you view this? Georgians are supporting many of them are supporting what the Arizona immigration law is today.
Yeah, I hear about that all the time. My dad supports the Arizona law. I think it's a great idea. But you know what? These people haven't been to Arizona. I was in Arizona last month, and I saw what's going on there, and I saw the empty storefronts. And I saw the empty parts of town where Latinos used to live. This is not good for Arizona. But most importantly, we're not Arizona. We're not on the border. And not only did they lie about the border violence being on the U.S. side of the border, because it really isn't any, But we don't have any border here in Georgia.
Right.
We deal with different issues than Georgia does, than Arizona does. We don't have to have the same law they do. More importantly, some of the laws they pass have already been declared to be unconstitutional. You know, Georgia was the first to pass the really tough immigration laws in the United States. But even till today, those laws aren't enforced because there's no money to enforce them. And that really is the big lie behind the Arizona law, is even though the Arizona legislature passed these draconian laws, they allotted no money. They allocated no money for its enforcement.
Right.
If Georgia really wants to have these laws, and they're struggling with a major budgetary crisis, a crisis, they said, is what this is at this point, where are they going to get the money for this?
Exactly. Well, in being that said, what would it be your message, in a final thought, what would it be your message to Congress and really to people that they are opposed to any of these immigration reforms? Please give us your final thoughts and your contact information as well.
Well, you can always reach me at immigration.net, www.immigration.net, and our number is 404-816-8611. But more importantly, what the Georgia legislators need to be doing is going to Congress. We want you, Saxby Chambliss, Johnny Isaacson, Tom Price, Jack Kingston, we want you to fix our immigration laws so we don't have to deal with the consequences of this. And there are consequences of undocumented immigration. But the states should not be touching this issue. This is not rocket science. This is not going to take a million years to figure out. There are solutions on the table that work. Let's make those work today.
Thank you so much, Charles, for being here today. Of course, I would love to invite you back to our show and providing all wonderful information you provide to us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You must be special, something unique, considering the things you've done. Help to make this world a better place, while I thought we were just having fun. I had no direction, I was set adrift in a sea of mediocrity. I was given a compass that showed me the way. Now every day is easy to see. You're my miracle. That is what you are. You're my miracle. You're my shining star. Now every man deserves his fair share of luck, but I could never ask for any. See, you're my miracle. That's what you are. Yeah. I ran into an old buddy I knew, hadn't seen in quite a while. He said, "Look good, things must be going well." I just looked at him and I smiled. My happiness is purely by chance. It's had very little to do with me. A prayer was answered that I'd often made, and the heavens above shine down on me. You're my miracle. That is what you are. See, you're my miracle. You're my shining star. Now every man deserves
we're back with Global Matters with Solange Warner. I am honored to introduce you to our guest, Consul General of Germany and Dean of the Consular Corps, Dr. Lutz Görgens. Dr. Görgens, welcome him to our show. I appreciate very much you're here today.
Thank you, Solange. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, wonderful. Please tell the Georgia viewers, what is the purpose of the Dean of the Consular Corps here and the Consular Corps? I believe that there are 65 plus consulates here in Georgia today. Is that right?
Yes. We represent Georgia's partners. Georgia is a state with many, many international connections. And Georgia also has representatives abroad, like the office in Munich, led by Antje Absoff, which promotes inward investment from German companies to Georgia. What we do here, the Atlanta Consular Corps, is to represent our countries. We are presently 23 career consulates, full-fledged offices from foreign diplomats. And this year we were happy to greet among this group the new Consul General of Ireland. Always an important partner since immigration times of Georgia, but now for the first time there is an Irish career consul, Paul Gleason. We also welcome, and this is really news because it was announced only last week, a new honorary consul from Poland, a former US ambassador to Poland. So apart from the 23 career consuls, we have a group of very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, most of them US citizens, who also represent another nation, but on an honorary basis, so they don't get a salary. I'm paid by the German taxpayer.
Right, right. Well, tell us, what is the specific benefit for Georgia's economy to have this 65 plus representative of foreign governments in our state? Apart
from the services we provide for our citizens and for anybody who wants to visit our respective countries, in my case Germany, the purpose is both business and culture and education. To give you an example from the business side, in Georgia, 160,000 jobs have been created by foreign direct investment. So from companies who reside abroad. And this morning we had a meeting at the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce, and our partners there gave us the recent business figures for companies who have opened in Georgia, in the metropolitan area of Atlanta, 25 counties, so it's a major part of Georgia, in 2010. And out of these 61 companies, 29, almost half, have their headquarters abroad. So you have an enormous impact of the global, by the global economy on job creation in Georgia. I must admit that the job creation factor of the foreign companies is not 50%. It's a little bit. It's considerably less. It's less than 20% of the entire jobs created in 2010. So the reason is that most of the foreign companies are not the big manufacturers, but rather small and middle-sized companies. But 20% of the jobs, 50% of the companies opening their shop in Georgia in 2010 from abroad, I think this is a very significant number. It's amazing. It's a great news. I don't think that many Georgians really understand the benefits from the point of view of the economy, but also cultural. I would like to ask you a little bit more about the international trade offices that each one of these consulates, or most of these consulates, have. I understand that through German companies, we have been able to stimulate the economy. I know that through the consulate, you have a trade office in your consulate. Is that correct? That is correct. And the chamber, of course, and we, as well. Apart from the trade office in the consulate, there is a a very important bilateral chamber of commerce, the German-American Chamber of Commerce, yes. Which operates in 11 states, all the way from Texas to North Carolina and Florida. That organization is really a leader in global business here. And there are some 25 other trade offices.
That is great. And specifically, how this German companies really stimulate the economy. For instance, I know when they come, they open shop here, they will hire legal advice. They also will have real estate, relocation companies, that these are local companies that they need to provide the service to the international companies. Is that the way that it works?
That's the way it works, yes. Together, of course, with local Georgian institutions or South Carolinian and Alabamian institutions. What the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce does, what LEAD does for the state of Georgia is just extraordinary. They are all doing a very good job to attract this foreign business. And it's to the benefit of the job market in Georgia. Absolutely.
Now, let's say there is a law firm that is interested in becoming part of that networking of companies that you provide to these German companies or companies from other countries. How they can become part of that networking, whether it's through the chamber, the German chamber, or through the consulate. There's any process that they have to follow to be one of these companies that they offer service to these German companies?
Yes, there are. I don't want to name them now, but there is a great number of excellent law firms who are specialized in commercial law and advice for new business.
Okay, well that's wonderful. I would like to ask you a little bit more questions about the cultural aspect also, but now we'll go to a break and we will be right back with the Consul General of Germany. Thank you. And now we're back with the Consul General of Germany, Dr. Lutz Görgens. I would like to ask you on some of the initiatives that the Consulate of Germany is working on today.
We are heavily working on the transatlantic climate bridge. This is an initiative we have been launching together with some other consulates like that of the United Kingdom or Canada for more than 2 years. And now we see that it really brings fruition because jobs are created in Georgia because of the demand for renewable energy in Europe and in other parts of the United States. And the final step would be that demand for renewable energy also rises in Georgia, and we are working on it. I give you 3 examples. Governor Perdue opened a pine pellet facility in Waycross, Georgia, and what they burn fires a power plant in Europe. Exports for Georgia, technology for Georgia, jobs for Georgia. Another example is components for wind energy production. That is a plant by ZF in Gainesville, or solar panels being produced in Dublin, central Georgia. It's all jobs, new technology, and I'm happy to see that now here in the southeast of the United States of America, we see the repetition of something we celebrated in Germany. Over 20 years, we reduced our CO2 emissions by 22%, and at the same time had a GDP growing by 30%. So both growth and an impact on climate and the reduction of dependence on foreign oil.
That is amazing.
A win-win-win situation.
That is wonderful. That is excellent. This takes me to my next question, which is, what is the final thoughts that you can give, a message perhaps to Georgia community regarding the Dean of the Consular Corps, the German consulate, and the benefits that we can provide as an international community here in Georgia?
Learn foreign languages. That for two reasons. A, it increases, I know you know foreign languages, Solange. This is a message to our viewers and their children in particular. It's a message to our young viewers. Learn German, yes, but also other languages, French, Chinese, whatever it is. Learn these foreign languages at school, at high school, at college. It increases your potential in the international job market. And it makes you understand your international partners much better.
That is
and one final thought, if you allow, that from a German perspective, I know that many Americans have enjoyed Munich and Garmisch-Partenkirchen in the Alps as a ski resort, as a great city, when they were stationed there or when they visited. These two cities jointly launch a bid for the 2018 Olympic Games. And I would be very happy if we could land that success with the support of the American community.
That will be great. That will be wonderful. You can count on my support for sure for that. And I think it will be important also to give perhaps a webpage or some sort of contact information and how to reach you if they need more information about this.
GermanyInfo.org.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Consul Görgens. This has been a pleasure to have you here, and I hope you can come back to a show in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Solange.
There are a monthly average of 400 human trafficking victims here in Georgia today. Therefore, the World Chamber of Commerce has launched a campaign, Human Trafficking Awareness, to keep our children safe. And today, I have the pleasure to introduce you to the American Flyers. Danny Garrett, please tell us about your band and how you became involved with this, supporting this campaign for the WCC.
Thank you, Solange. We're an Atlanta band here in the city. Been working here now 10 years. This is a very worthy cause for us. I'm an educator, and we have parents in the band that also have children, and we see this as a huge problem, and we couldn't be happier to support this with you.
Can you please introduce your band members?
Certainly. From Roswell, Georgia, here on keyboards, we have David Wayne. He wrote the two tunes that you're hearing today. And on guitar, we have Rick Dom from Alpharetta, or Austell, I'm sorry. And on lead vocals is Ian Michaels from Brooklyn, New York. He's been, how long have you been here, Ian?
I've been here 17 years.
17 years, so he's really an Atlanta native now.
Right.
And same with Phil Fontana on bass. He's from Brooklyn, New York, but he's been here since
many years.
Many years. We want to date him. But those are the guys. We've been together about 10 years. We're based here in Atlanta.
That's wonderful. And tell us about the song that you wrote for a human trafficking campaign awareness.
Yes, I've written these songs in the past couple of years, and I'm proud to be able to play them on this show. I hope everybody's going to enjoy them.
Thank you so much. They're wonderful. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your support and endorsement for human trafficking awareness to keep our children safe. We invite leaders and members of the community to unify countries through common economical, cultural, and humanitarian initiatives. This is Solange Warner with Global Matters. Thank you so much.